Welcome everyone. Today we'll have a series of special guides for the new players or the beginner players for Wolcen, and we're going to look into how do you respec and what talents to look for a different class set. So we'll be looking at the mages, warriors and rangers. So those are the major archetypes, and I'll explain the reasons why we're perking to those and how do you make your early game leveling and the story mode more interesting and more rewarding with each level ups, and also tips on the items to look for, tips on the perks to look out for. And after getting to the end game, we'll also look into the the choices and perks you can look for. So right away, let's go into the talent tree. I'll start with a draft character, so we start with 0. This first one is going to go with a warrior branch. So a lot of us might be using melee weapons. Warriors will likely to be a one-handed weapon with a shield, or two-handed weapons with axe or maybe a two-handed sword. So as for warriors, as you level up initially, you should look into damage, because the quicker you clear the monsters, the stronger you become and less likely the monster can kill you. So usually in the early games as you play, offense is better than defense. And the first thing you should do as a warrior, you should really look out to perk into the third wheel of the talent tree, which I'll spin a little bit to prepare for us. So what we're looking for is really this one. So we're looking for the Frenzy Blow. As a warrior, as you level in early game, notice I perked into attack damage and also melee damage with critical damage. After that, we'll go for more of the attack damage. Notice the melee damage only deals with melee weapons. If it happens that you're using a gun and also a sword, then the attack damage will be better for us, because warriors will be using attack spells. Attack spells are the ones that uses rage. So after that, you can perk over here. And as for this moment, you don't really do much fire damage in the early game, and you don't have to worry about increased fire damage. You want to perk over here, and usually you don't have to worry about block chances. Go for the rage per hit taken. 10 rage is not bad, and the key factor is get here, so you no longer have a problem with willpower and rage. You don't have to spend a willpower spell or use potions now, because most of the time you can have higher rage. And after that, well, this is the reason you still want to use the rage power potion, because you want to keep your rage over 750, and now you do double damage with all the spells that's casted over 750. So I'm gonna perk here. By this time, I think we're about level 12 and 13, and by level 13 you can be quite powerful as long as you keep in mind. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna have a rage potion ready, and what I'll do is I'll show you guys some of the skills that's useful here. Some of the skills that'll be useful. One thing is definitely Bladestorm, really fun one to play. The other one will be Bleeding Edge, is not bad. You can go for the hammers as well. Where's the hammer go? The hammer can also work. So those are the three spells you can use for, and just pick any of the early game perks as you level up early. And this one as well, just pick any of the early ones. For this one, there is one that also gives you rage upon killing enemies. Let's have a look. Reduce rage cost is really good, because the higher rage you have, the more damage you do. And provisions, let's have a look. I remember this one. Oh, it's actually pretty late in the game, isn't it? So I remember, yeah. So in the, this is what actually I was looking for this, so I was looking away. So with Bladestorm, I was leveling this up with my warriors with this one, because when you kill enemies, you get rage back. You also reduce rage. So notice I'm half rage over 1000. So when I spin now, I can also directional spin by clicking where I want to spin, or I can spin on the spot. So here I'm spinning on the spot. Here I can directional spin. If I'm over 750 range when I cast any of the attack spells, they do double damage. And by level 13, I'm super powerful. After that, for warriors, what you realize is, if you're having a lot of enemies next to you, 4% damage for enemies nearby is not bad. And if not, having the 2% damage for unconsumed rage point is actually pretty good. So you definitely want to be pathing this way towards the maximum rage and willpower. This ensures you have 1400 rage and willpower, and makes us so much stronger. So we can path towards this side, we can pass this side. Ferocity is really good, we take it, go here. So now here it just takes one perk and we can get the rage, unspent rage for the additional damage, 2% for each of the rage, so at least 15% more damage, and also take the rage generation on kill. This keeps you going over 750 rage. After that, keep perking here, make it here, and get the 200 maximum willpower and rage, get the 100, get the 100. Now what's happening is we're pretty much level 32, 33, and at this stage we should be able to have so much more rage to play around with. We can spend a lot, and if you have a really good two-hand weapon, which really helps for the damage, or if you get some good sockets of gems, you're really powerful for the story. And by level 40 you should be clearing the story, and I finished the story about level 45, so I took a little slower. Let's have a look where to go after this. So now it's a choice to go, do I have too many enemies next to me? Or if I don't have too many enemies next to me, I don't have to worry about this. I can actually look for defensive perks, I can look for offensive perks. At that time when I was leveling in the story, I was actually having the difficulty reduced to, you know, story mode, which is a lower difficulty, so I was looking for more damage perks. I went for the critical damage, I went for the critical chances, and those two are not bad. And if I'm doing those, I'm actually building my items for critical chances. If that's the case, I can perk up here, I can get the 150 rage and willpower again. So now around level 38 or even 36, I have 1550 rage. This also comes back for me having double rage, more rage with the double damage. Well, over here I also have unspent rage for more damage. After going here, I'll be passing towards this side. So I'll be passing towards here, not only for the critical chances, as you can see, 18% critical chances. Those are not addictive, but those are multiplicative, so they're about 2% critical chance. And then I go into the merciless lethality, which gives me 60% critical damage. The losing of 30 damage is not that bad actually. I'll explain why. So by this time I'm about level 40, actually I'm about 35, 45, oh miscounted there. So I'm about level 35 and I should be almost one-shotting most things and doing a lot of good damage to the boss. I was one-shotting most of the small bosses at this time. And you might be asking, what do you do for the attributes? As for attributes, a small trick here, you can hold down Alt to increase attributes by 50. You can hold down to Shift to increase attribute by 5. If you hold on to both Alt and Shift, you can increase attributes by 250. Now what I did was I went everything to ferocity, and that made me having higher critical chance, which was really nice. Let's minus this one first. So we start with about, you know, we don't have to do anything now because my items actually give quite a bit of ferocity, but let's say if I have this much ferocity. So if you look into my critical chance, right now it's really high because the item for this account also has really good critical chance, but you should be looking at about 40% critical chance. So what you want to do is you can look for some critical chance on your rings if you socket them. You can look for critical chance on the weapon. You can look for critical chance on most of the gears like this for the flat critical chance. The amulet also gives percentage critical chance, and those critical chance will be under the multiplier by you. So you're multiplying damage onto critical damage and also onto rage over 750. After this, well, it's optional again. Usually what people want to do is you want to build for a bit of defense. And there's two ways to build defense. One is with the talent points, which is actually very convenient at the story time because not only it gives damage, also, you know, you can't get one-shotted. If you get two-shotted, it's not likely because you reduce damage by 80%. If you're getting three-shotted, well, you have to be running around a little bit. So I recommend going for those. So increase damage, increase damage, increase damage, and we got the talent points. What those does is, for every 2.5 seconds, you get 1 point. So after about 10 seconds and 12 seconds, you have 5 points. Each time you get attacked, you lose 1 point, but you reduce damage by the total amount of talent points. So after getting those, I will reduce damage by 100% when I have the 5 points. So the first hit I take no damage pretty much. The second hit I only take 20% of the damage. The third hit I take 60%. As long as I am mobile enough, they should not be able to hit me. They should not be able to kill me. So that's the best one for the story, I reckon. For the defensive perks, it's really cheap as well. After that, you're pretty much level 40. So let's go a few more. Let's go see how we're going to perk from here. What you want to be doing now is you want to look into debuffing enemies, because if you have enough defensive capacities, you look for offensive. So two choices. One is that if you find yourself to be dying a little bit, you can perk this way for the best defensive perks here with the salvatory ankle here. This turns your chest armor and your helmet into something special. You get more resistance, you get more life regen, so you want to be looking for bruiser sets, you want to be looking for the heavy sets. Heavy gives resistance and the bruiser gives life regen. So you want to perk onwards here, you got the physical damage, you can go for those. and this will take us close to level 50. It does take a while, but it's really good perk here for the end game because you'll be getting the additional elements anyways. So this is defensive, this is offensive. So after getting those, you can also firstly go for this for offensive, and you can go for those, increase chances, resistance, you can go here. So those are also optional, so this is really good in Mortal Offering. Once you have multiple elements stacking onto enemies, which will make a special video on it, you can do much more damage. I usually doubles or triples my damage after having 3 to 6 different debuffs onto an enemy. So by the time you're here, you also now want to get some element stacks, because the more element stacks you have, the likely the stronger you are. And what we can do is, we should consider getting the maximum element stacks, but if you're not stacking a lot, you don't have to worry about those. At this rate, again, there's 2 branches you can look into. You can look into the offensive or defensive. Offensive and defensive is over here for the curse stacks, and this is actually really good. Actually, no, not this one. Where is it? It's over here, right? Yeah, it's over here. The offensive is actually with time waiver, which if you can apply status effectively onto the enemy, this is basically give you another 120% more damage. This is defensive as well. This reduces damage taken on the first hit, so you don't get one-shotted. So what you can do is, you can go for this side for offensive, this for defensive, or you can go directly here after level 45. So we can take those. We really don't need anything that's here, so we're just perking. Actually, we'll perk this way. We'll perk this way. So this gives us offensive. So if you can debuff enemy with status, which I'll show you guys the skill, 100% of the time you debuff them, and then you do 120% more damage. Go for those. And this is defensive. And this also allows you to apply more elements. So let's go this one, let's increase our HP, and let's go this one. This takes us to about 65 level, and you have offensive, offensive, defensive, you have defensive, and mostly of the good things. So one thing is, you have to debuff enemy with status to do additional damage. How you do that is, you can use a particular skill here. Where's the leash? Where's the leash? Our leash is over here, the tracker switch. The tracker switch here have a special perk allows you to debuff enemies 100% of the time with status. It's over here. So once you have this, once your hook lands onto the enemy, whoever is within range of the hook will be debuffed. You can go for the hook that pulls enemies in all directions. The all direction does not debuff enemies, but the main hook that I'm targeting will debuff enemies. What you might want to do is, you might want to have damage on this one, so that you actually... Let me find the damage first. There you go. Why do you want damage on this one? Is bosses cannot be pulled sometimes, and that means you can't debuff them. Once you have the damage on it, so you just need those two, you can be able to do damage to the boss, and the boss will be debuffed. After getting debuffed, they will take 120% more damage 1.5 seconds later with this perk. And after that, we're pretty much with 25 points left. This last 10 points you can look for, and what I tend to look for is, am I going for more elements? If I'm going for more elements, I can take those perks. If I need more defensive, I can go for the block. I can go for the block chances here. So it's actually pretty good to go for the block. You can get some nice resistance. Those have 18% resistance perks. You can also go for high HP. If your armor give enough resistance, you can consider HP. If you don't, go for resistance. You do need flat resistance gears with heavy armor, keep that in mind. So I don't need to be here, so I'm actually perking over here. So what I did was, I perked into I can block with anything. This allows me to not use the shield. I also perked into when I block, enemy gets weakness. It's a debuff which increases our damage as well, and also reduce their damage. Lastly, if you don't have any block efficiency, let's have a look. Here, do I have any block efficiency? I have 15%. There's no need to perk into the block efficiency, because that multiplies on the 15% and only give us 3% added efficiency. So I think this is okay. And what you can start doing is, you can start socketing some of your gems for block chances, you can socket for resistance, you can socket for HP in the armor and gears. There are a few really good perks you should be looking out for. One is definitely here with enemies that are impaired, because while you are slowing enemies with status actually debuff enemy with a slow. So when you're slow enemies, you definitely take this perk. This is a multiplier by 25%, and it's really good. After that, you can look for the enemies that's near you, because you're in the end game, you tend to group enemies together. So this is a really good perk as well. You can also take the additional 1%. Don't worry about the 2 radius, it's not that great. And after that, if you find yourself having trouble with HP, what I recommend is to actually perk into the 4% health globe and also into the increased resistance, which will give you a little more. And when you pick up health globes, you actually get a lot more. So you get lots of radiance, you also increase resistance. Lastly, if you have trouble with the globes pickup, you can perk into 1 point here to increase the globe pickup. Notice this is a bit everything everywhere because I perked into a lot of good stuff I want to show you guys. And of course there's proper builds in the endgame, which I have made a few of them. Definitely check it out. And this is majority for the early and mid game for you guys. And I try to explain all the perks and why they're good. As for the item choices, for the weapon, you should always look out for a weapon that adds to base damage in the modifiers. For example, rain damage, physical damage with toxic damage, and you should be looking out for weapons that allows you to socket 1. Socket 1 with offensive, like this one, with offensive 1 allows you to add flat damage that can be multiplied by your percentage damage. This is our percentage damage. The higher the base stats are, the more damage we do. So this is actually really good, and it actually multiplies everything with the flat damage. You should be looking for the flat attack damage on the amulets as well. So basically physical, rend, and also toxic will be the best one for us for the physical teams. You can't really get a lot of the physical damage, but you can get flat, fire, ice, and also with the freeze damage onto the ring. So sorry, lightning, ice, and fire. So you can get those flat damage on the ring as well. So keep that in mind. This is a different build, so we're not getting those because this is a mage build on this character. After that, for gears, you should be looking for 1 ferocity, 1 toughness. Any of those will do. Cooldown is not bad, but ideally resistance is really important in the mid to late game. And most things are optional, and if you look into any of the other guides, those are really optional. I'm not showing too many items here because those items are actually for the mage. You can see the force shield and the sorcerer's gear, so I don't want to confuse you guys. Lastly, for the the skill of choice, you can go for Salvin Shot, which is a really good buff for everything. It's got globe region, resistance, block chances, it's got critical chance, it's got lifesteal. And if you happen to run into too many monsters and you can't deal with them, you can consider wearing a dagger, which allows you to still use your offensive spells and use Mark of Impurity. Those are by far the best perks I find, because this is actually an endgame perk for the most builds, and this is very powerful. Downside of using the Mark is you have to have the dagger, or you can use the unique belt with the trial. This belt is very rare to find, but if you don't have the belt, just go with the dagger. Go with a one-hand dagger, go with a shield, or go with a catalyst. That can still work. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide for the beginner's guide for the warrior. I can look into the mages and rangers to come as well. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you have any questions with the Wolcen games as well. I can also make a few guides on how to get any elements you wanted on any of the skills and how to adjust for those. So what should you look for in terms of shadow damage or in terms of rain damage to have at least 6 or 7 elements, because the more elements you have, the more damage you do with Immortal Offering. I was doing about 10k damage with base stats, and that was doing me about a few million damage, and then with 6 element stacks I was doing about 30k, which triples my damage. It's really powerful. So thank you again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe onto YouTube, and that will help me a lot. I'll see you guys next time.